Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Boy, you know, speaking of the adventures of your lifetime, our guest today is an adventurous soul who's had a lot of different experiences. And also, it's really not fair that you can be this talented and still be walking around the world. And she is a musician. She is a songwriter. She is a singer. She does all kinds of things, but later in life, she discovered something that was really cool and really new. But before we do any of that stuff, and even before I introduce Jennifer, she has a video out that I want to play real quick because it is called Beautiful Earth, and this is representative of the kind of music that she does.
Strength, trusting truth, calling in beauty, known by the moon, daring to dream, seeing rebirth, calling in connection to this beautiful earth, beautiful earth.
And that is Beautiful Earth by Jennifer Harper. And Jennifer Harper, that's her. That's her right there. I see her there. It is such an honor to have you here, by the way. I was thinking about this while the video was playing. Does it ever dawn on you that you actually wrote that and choreographed it and did the music and the lyrics, and does it ever like amaze you that you are so talented?
Oh, you're so sweet. You know, it's interesting, actually. That brings up an important point, I think, about reflections of our lives, because it's so easy, especially in a busy season, to keep moving, making, creating, doing, even if you're not in a season of creating your dreams, if you're working or whatever you're doing, we can be so busy that we don't really have time to like acknowledge ourselves and really appreciate how far we've come, you know, because it's always like constantly in this society looking, what do I have to do today, there's very little space to reflect. And so I actually appreciate a moment like this to watch my own video, and let that sink in to my consciousness, because it's so easy to not do that in today's society. And I think it's one of the most important things to do, is to be able to always look back from where we've come. You can have drive and goals and dreams, and it's great. But if you can't let that sink in to, that joy or self-love or self-worth sink in, or appreciation, gratitude for yourself and all the things that you've done, then it's almost like, what's the point? What's the point?
Well, and I know you know this, but that is one. First of all, music, I believe, is an extension of the universe and the source, and it comes from beyond us, because it is so important that we take the moment, like that song, take that moment and reflect upon our life, where we've been, not necessarily where we're going, because we get to choose that, but where we are today, and just take that moment away, just be, as my favorite, the gospel according to Paul McCartney says, just let it be. That is the best place to be, is just within yourself, and appreciate who you really are and what you're capable of. And people like you are the ones who help us do that. Did you know that?
Oh, I'm so glad. If I can help you do that, that to me is just the greatest thing to be able to do. So thank you for saying that. And, I just kind of do what it is that I do best. And we all have different gifts. This happens to be mine. And, I'm grateful for it.
Is it true, young lady? And you sound like a prosecuting attorney. Is it true that you learned how to do all of this by playing by ear, that you didn't read music? I don't even know if you read music now.
That might be a little bit confusing on my website. It's funny, because I had that conversation earlier today with somebody, which is I taught myself to play the music of the times by ear. But I was training from the time I started taking piano lessons when I was 4, and did the more traditional path and classical. But, by the time I hit, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that, I really was frustrated and just wanted to learn the songs I wanted to learn. So I taught myself how to play the songs that interested me of the day. And I do, but it's true that I always relied more on my ear than, studying but I definitely know how to read music. I wouldn't say, you could put sheets and sheets in front of me and I could just play the whatever, because that's not my strong point. But I definitely learned how, I took classical music lessons.
I love. Did I say love? Now you're like significantly younger than me. You must be, um, because well, never mind. But just because you are. But Simon and Garfunkel, Cat
Yeah.
Stevens, Joni Mitchell, and those are the ones that you taught yourself to play by listening to them on the radio, and it's just remarkable.
It wasn't even the radio. It was my sisters had my sisters were older than me, and they had records, so I played their records, and then we had the music books at home as well. So I listened to the record and read read the music as well. So it wasn't entirely by ear, I guess, but yeah.
And by the way, just so everybody knows, a record is a vinyl disc that they used to sell in music stores. Now you can go to some now, and now they're like billions of dollars to get one. But yeah, that's how music was played, and it was a record player with a needle. Like a diamond needle, and then it would play the music for you. Unlike digital now and all that kind of good stuff. And I miss those days, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I used to just read all the the lyrics and look at all the pictures, and it was a journey. It was almost like a book is, in a way that you would just immerse yourself in the story and listen from beginning to end. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm doing that actually with I am creating a vinyl for my album that's coming out, Soul Alive. So I'm very excited about that.
And my son, who was listening, first of all, I got to tell you, my first album, because I'm a lot older than you, my first album that I ever had was A Hard Day's Night. When the movie came out in 64 or 65, right in that time frame. And I didn't even know what an album was at the time. But my son tells me, as far as vinyl goes, if you have the right setup and you have got a good player, that vinyl is the best way to listen to music because of all the nuances that comes through on the vinyl that may not in the CD or even the digital platforms. Have you heard that?
I believe it. I haven't heard that per se, but I believe it. And there's a richness, right, and authenticity to the sound. I don't know anything about the how they do it technically, but I know the experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It really is a unique experience. So I implore everybody, go get anything that Jennifer Harper's doing in vinyl, because it is just, your music is phenomenal. Where does it come from?
The music?
Yeah.
Every song is different. Mostly on this album, I would say it came from deep listening to my own soul and also to things that were moving in the collective. A lot of it was written during the pandemic, and I just kind of tuned into energetic things that I felt like people were working with, that needed to be freed up, if that makes any sense. So, for example, with Beautiful Earth, which you just played, originally I wrote it on a new moon, and the practice of the new moon calling in things that you desire, and then on the full moon releasing things that no longer serve. So it's not that I'm so into this practice, but I was experimenting with it, as I did with a lot of different things during the pandemic. And I thought, okay, new moon, I'm going to call in these things. And it came from more written poetry and determinations or intentions of things I wanted to call in. So I wrote up those things, but I really wanted to deepen it because I felt like why? What? Let's take it a step deeper. Why am I calling in these things? And ultimately, the most important thing to me is the healing of the earth and the people in it. So I connected that my desires, my intentions, my personal desires to healing of the earth. And that just has to do with my belief that, the more we can really be our best selves, the more we are in service to the whole. So it sounds a little heady when I'm describing it.
It sounded
But-
absolutely perfect. By the way, we're talking with Jennifer Harper. Go to jenniferharpermusic.com and you can find out. She's got videos there. She's got ways to get her music. Her story is there. The artistry of who she is there. But there is so much more than music, which we need to talk about. But first, we have to take this real quick break. And we're going to be right back with Jennifer Harper. And by the way, if you are a real estate agent or you want to be a real estate agent and you're having a difficult time doing it, I know a guy, and he's going to help you. And listen to this, and we'll be right back after this, Jennifer.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. I got to ask you, Jennifer, this song was written for Positive Talk by a gentleman by the name of Tommy Tika. What do you think of it? I hope you like it.
It's very uplifting. I mean, it puts me in a good mood, and that with your positive, personality, like the whole thing, it puts me in a great mood. So I think it fits the brand and fits the everything you're doing really nicely.
Well, thank you. And he, in the interesting story about that is he had this song that was just kind of hanging around. And I said, Tommy, because he'd been on the show several times. And I said, Tommy, I need you to write me a song. And he said, well, I got this one that I don't know. But he played it for me. And I said, I like it. And by the way, he's one of those guys like you who does all the instruments, does all the vocals, does everything all by himself. And he's from Sweden, and so he did that, and I helped him produce it a little bit, and so away it goes, and it's one of those songs, Jennifer, that came from his heart. He then took it and he produced it, and he put it out there, and it has been downloaded like 50,000 times somewhere.
I love it.
And he wasn't even going to do anything with it until I kind of made him.
Well, and that's another thing that happens is writing things, and it's to process the energy or heal something in myself. And I think, I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with that. And I've had a couple of songs that are on the album that were that way. And when somebody heard what I was doing, they were, in tears listening, like, what are you're going to share that one, right? And so sometimes, we need other people's reflections on our work too, to realize the potency. It's hard to do things in isolation sometimes.
And humans are not designed to be isolated. And the thing about COVID that there were many, 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 many negative things about it, but there are coming to light some good things that came out of COVID. One of which is you were forced because you couldn't go anywhere. You were forced to sit down and start working on your craft and stuff. And I've listened to a bunch of your work. It's not fair. I'm telling you, it's just beautiful. Your voice, the music, and it has meaning. And that meaning, it resonates with me deeply because of not only the music, but who you are and the intent behind what you're talking about, which is really a lot more, it has a lot more depth to it than you might think, of just something that, she loves you, yeah, 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 kind of thing, because this really has a lot of depth to it and meaning, and it is part of your life and the things that you experienced and the things you went through. It is remarkable. Congratulations on you don't need me to tell you that, but congratulations on the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that it lands that way. That really is the intention as I'm writing, particularly with these songs. I mean, it was very important to me. Lyrics are very important. The message that gets across, how it activates somebody and awakens somebody, or whether, it allows a release or a remembrance. This is all part of my craft as I'm making songs, because part of it, I have 3 grown kids, and I hear some of the lyrics that they're listening to these days, and I really do believe that words are magic, and what we say we bring into reality. So it's so important to be really intentional with our words in our life. There's a lot of things that have led me to understand this, which I could talk about, but to bring it back to the music, each song, when it was crafted, I really wanted to as I said, either awaken something, activate something, help somebody with a release. It's so important. I don't think there's enough music out there like that, or there's not enough exposure for music that's really deeply healing. And, especially with the younger generation, I mean, music is the thing. That's what they listen to, they love, they listen to all kinds of music. And I don't want to be like, what's the word, overly like, you can't do this and you can't do that. You shouldn't listen. I'm not like censoring anything.
Oh, I am.
I mean, I'd like to, but with my children at least, but it made me even more desirous to create something that was meaningful in that way. And that's how I grew up. I grew up in Washington, D.C. So I was exposed to a lot of music. We had a really vibrant music scene. It was a very cool time to be living there, and all different kinds. And there was a lot of music being used for social change, for messages. For example, I saw Joni Mitchell, and she used, her song, and she would change the lyrics to up a little bit to fit the cause that she was promoting, for a No Nukes concert. Things like that. Or I heard a lot of reggae, and it was basically like a sermon. They would talk, they would give a sermon for like an hour in between songs. And it was just like I equated music with a message of social change, message of empowerment, messages of spirituality, messages of empowerment, and that's just how that's what landed for me. That's what influenced me. That's what inspired me as a kid. And really, it was so clear to me that that's what I wanted to do. But it really, I feel, landed for me with this album at a much later time in life. It took me a long time to get there. That's a whole other story. We can talk a little bit about that journey if you like. But this in my heart, like I always knew this is who I was. This feels like home to me, to use music in this way. This is home, you know?
May I explain to you the impact that people like you have? There's one of the major reasons that you're on Positive Talk Radio in 2025 was because of a song that I listened to at nauseum in 2002. And that song was I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack. Every time that I would be thinking about, I want to make a difference in the world. And this is, I like doing the radio show, and when I was doing it at the time, and that song would come on the radio. I don't know how they do it, but they they manage to make that song and the premise of the song is I hope you dance. I hope you live your life to your fullest. And I'm massacring the lyrics, but the whole idea of it is don't settle. Live your life to your absolute fullest. And I hope you dance through life in the best way possible. And so your songs, especially the new album that's out now, which is Soul Alive, somebody is going to hear that and it's going to fundamentally change their life. It's not going to change their life. It's going to allow them the ability to understand that they have the ability to change their own life. Does that make any sense at all?
It sure does. And it's beautiful. I have the chills when you're talking about it. I find that it's so beautiful and inspiring. And if I can do that for even one person, I feel like I've really made a difference in the way that I've always dreamed of since I was a little girl. So it's very meaningful.
A lot of what I do is on audio, and somebody's going to hear the song that we played at the very top, and they're going to go searching for you, and then they're going to look at the album, and then they're going to buy the Soul Alive, and it's going to have a life-changing experience for them. And that's why, and I know you don't do this to make money. It's not any of that. It's about a soul-driven thing, and I know that you have proof of that now. And don't ya?
I have proof of
that you are living a soul-driven life.
Yeah, I mean, I have proof everywhere I look now.
I knew that.
Yeah, and but it's evolution. It's creation over time, and trust in self over time, and never giving up on dreams. And also anchoring, rooting deeply, grounding into practices that are and have been supportive to me for my body, mind, and soul. When you mentioned that song that you listened to, it reminds me of when, and it was for me, I think it was 1995, when I was first introduced to a Buddhist practice, which has been my grounding for 30 years. And I read a poem written by a Buddhist philosopher, Daisaku Ikeda, and a beautiful, it's so much more than a poem. It was really like it was an activation of sorts to young people to have vision and dream of a peaceful world. And in the poem, it was on the wall of the Buddhist center that I went to, and there was a stanza that said, first of all, you yourself must live a life of no regrets. And as soon as I saw that line, I knew, because I wasn't doing music at that time. And I was an actress and had pursued theater as a way to express myself, but I wasn't getting my message across. I wasn't using my voice and my words, right? And I saw that, and I knew right then I must do music. I must, or I will live a life of regrets. And I found that unacceptable. And with this vision of how do we create a peaceful world as my kind of anchor, it was like, oh, this is not selfish to go after my dreams. This is not selfish to really devote myself to a vision, even if I have no proof of anything right now. This actually is the first step in creating a world, a more peaceful world, a place where people are living in harmony and personal happiness. Like, this is necessary to follow my dreams. This isn't a luxury. This is a necessity. And that shifted everything for me. So
the universe was saying, Jennifer, I'm sorry, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to do this now because this is why you're here. Again, we're talking with Jennifer Harper, and go to jenniferharpermusic.com. You can find out all about her. Please do it. She's just her music is just incredible. We need to take our halftime break, but when we come back, I want to talk about a couple of things that I know a little bit about, and she knows more about it. It's called Human Design and Gene Keys, and it's a way for you to discover. And you're going to look at it and go, how do they know that about me? Because it's all written. Well, we'll talk about it when we come back, because it really is an important aspect of everything about who we are. And as it turns out, by the way, I've had mine done, Jennifer. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I'm not surprised.
They said, oh, yeah. Oh, no. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And I said, are you sure? They said, oh, no doubt about it. But we'll be right back. And then we'll kind of explain it. And then I encourage you to go find a practitioner, because it can be eye-opening and life-changing. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Jennifer. Jennifer Harper is here, and thank you for being here. By the way, and if people say, oh, golly, he's playing Covenant House again, it's like, yes, I play that every day, because this is the United States of America. And if we got 4 million kids and walking around the streets in our country and are homeless, and they are not being taken care of, and we aren't taking care of them as a society, we got some work to do. And that's why I play that, because it's important for people to recognize that we ain't done yet. We got a lot of work to do. And one of the things that Jennifer is doing is she's working through music and through the other things that she does to help people recognize that they can live a better life, and they can live the greatness that they were born with, if only they knew that they could, when many people don't believe it. So Jennifer, welcome back to the show. I love talking to you. You are just amazing.
Oh, I love talking to you too. We should do this every day.
We can if you want to. we got enough to talk about to last for, really honestly, for weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
True. But talk to me a little bit about your discovery of human design and gene keys. How did that come about?
Well, it came about again during the pandemic, when we were all, in our homes, and I was seeking ways to enrich my life. And I went online and I joined some different women's circles. I joined a women's songwriting circle, and we were writing music and sharing music every week. And then one of the other things I did was join, some women's, I would call them sort of empowerment groups, and was just heard about human design, didn't really know anything about it, was intrigued, went online and looked at a chart, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, this is insane. Like, no, not now. Excuse me. But I ended up being intrigued and coming back to it. And then, it was like little seeds where it kept intriguing me. And then I learned a little more, and then I learned a little more. And then I took a little class that we were dealing with gene keys, which is connected to human design, but it's sort of a more feminine system based more on frequencies. And then things really started to shift for me, and some really deep realizations opened up the gates for me. And I still, these contemplations are something that they're not instantaneous. I still go back to my gene keys or my human design and look and reflect on things. And it's continually helpful. As a matter of fact, I'm now studying something called the Star Pearl in Gene Keys, which is a new sequence that they've introduced. So I'm learning about that, and it's uncovering even more things for me. But I just was fascinated, and mostly, it was the actual proof of it, that it was working for me, that it was opening things up. It was helping me deepen into things, especially in the gene keys. And the human design is amazing, and it helped with a lot of fundamental things as well. But understanding the shadow frequencies and the gift frequencies, and then sort of the highest expression of who you're here to be within the gene keys, was really, really enlightening. And so I decided to take a course. So I studied for a year, and I did like a certification program, and during that time went deeper, and it wasn't until after that I started realizing I was incorporating a lot of the things that I was learning into my music, as well as it was opening up my gifts. And my gifts, part of my gifts, I'm a projector in human design. So I really am designed to guide people. This comes very naturally to me. And there's other things in my design that make me highly intuitive. Being a projector is highly intuitive design, but there are other things that have a really highly intuitive nature. So when I would reflect on different things with gene keys within my certification for other people, I was surprised to learn that my reflections were really, really potent for them and helped them tremendously to shift things. And then I started to say, oh, wow, okay. Sometimes our gifts are so, we can't see our own gifts because it's so natural for us that we almost overlook them, So I started to realize that I really do have this ability to look at people's charts, understand something on a very intuitive level, and share the guidance in a way that, if someone is open to receive it, can land in a very potent way and enable people to make some big shifts, whether it was in business or in relationships or health, on all levels. So that started happening. And then I took a trip to Costa Rica, and it's a whole other tangent, but I opened up other spiritual gifts when I was there. I really started understanding for the first time that I move energy. Like I know how to move energy. And it's one of those things that just sounds, real woo-woo, and how do you even explain it? But I realized that part of music for me is I can feel it, I can touch it, I can move it. and then I realized I can move energy. So it was kind of just an awakening of my own gifts on a level that was sort of bizarre to me, but then everything made sense. Like it took everything to a deeper level, and I began sort of intuitive singing in a way where I just started really deepening my trust in my own gifts and exploring, experimenting, creating new things with them, rather than saying, okay, these are the systems and I'm going to study this and then I'm just going to do, teach this, what I've just learned. I took what I learned and then I put my own creativity and my own gifts into it, explored, went deeper, experimented, and realized that I can shift energy with my voice and I can guide people. I can look at their charts. I can analyze certain things that are going on. Analyze isn't the right word, but I can see certain things and offer the guidance. If it lands, if it doesn't, work with that, and then use my voice intuitively to move energy. So this was like a whole other tangent of the work that I do that is hard to explain. And
you've done a beautiful job. If I could just add this real quick, is that if somebody says, oh no, this energy stuff, that's just woo woo, it's like, well, Einstein's not woo woo, and he said energy never lives and never dies. It is what it is, and it stays there forever. Tesla said the same thing. It's now grounded in science that we are all energetic beings having a physical experience, and that we are all, and the energy that we have in many cases dictates, and I think it's connected to our soul.
And also somebody said, I don't know if it was Einstein or Tesla, the frequency of medicine, the future of medicine is frequency.
Yes.
Because, and very interestingly, I've seen articles and different things written about how sound is now being used to treat the physical body in hospitals.
Sound
and
healing.
I think we're really at just the beginning of understanding this at this point in time. And it's very potent medicine. I know that just from the experience. So I don't think people need to necessarily believe. They just need to be open to try and have their own experience and then make a decision, But I've experienced in sessions with people, even a physical healing.
Yes. Well, as an example, you're familiar with, of course, Reiki. Reiki is something that does help people. They have proven that. And for those of you who have no idea what that is, it's a Reiki practitioner is calling in the energy from the universe to go through them into the client or whoever it is. They do not touch them. It's all based upon energy and the energetic intention of the Reiki practitioner. And there's a whole process they go through, but that has been proven to heal and to help people. And so energy is an amazing thing that we're just now finding out about. And science is now even saying, maybe this soul thing, maybe there really is this thing called a soul and stuff. We're beginning to understand a little bit more about consciousness and some of those things. And so we live in a dark time, but an exciting time at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of chaos, misinformation, and confusion, and discernment is really, really important. To really learn to trust what is right for you and not to necessarily be swayed by what other people are doing or saying. And that's been one of the biggest lessons for me, because it's so easy. We are bombarded constantly, daily, with other people's stuff.
Well, the thing is, and we need to take our last break, but the thing that just kills me is that you being a singer-songwriter and you get on in front of people and the stage and all that kind of stuff. And so the first thing that you would say to yourself is, I want people to like me because I'm here and I want them to clap and I want them to enjoy the music that I'm doing and that sort of thing. But none of that matters. That's a Metallica song, by the way. Nothing else matters except for you and what you believe and who you are. When we come back from this break, I'm going to ask you, because I believe this happened for me. I had a conversation with my team on the other side before I even came here, and they made the decision and we made a contract, and I said, this is how I want to impact the world. And they said, wow, that's pretty hefty. We'll do the best we can. And so that became my soul contract that I am now working to fulfill every day that I do this show. I want you to tell me when we come back if I need to be on medication or not. So we'll be right back.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure our world. Then share them with family and friends.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Jennifer Harper is with us. She is a talent beyond talent. She's got all kinds of things going on. And so Jennifer, do I need to be on medication?
Well, I'm not a medical intuitive, but you don't impress me as somebody who needs to be on medication. But I'm
just thinking, if I believe that I had a destiny and I was instrumental in choosing the life that I was going to create here, and the folks on the other side are doing everything within their power to help me achieve what I've already chosen for myself, and they're helping me with that. That was my point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because that opens up a can of worms. Like it's like that's a whole other conversation about medication. And I do think that in general, in Western society, particularly, we're very over medicated. And I've chosen a non-toxic lifestyle. I've gotten rid of all chemicals in my house, and so I definitely believe in the natural solutions as much as possible, but I would never tell somebody else how to make the choices for their lives and what's best for them.
The beautiful thing is, Jennifer, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and some they have different viewpoints. One would say your life is predestined and it's going to be how it is supposed to be, and stuff. And then there are other people who say, no, you got free will. You can do anything you want. And there are other people who say, yeah, but if you do everything you want, you're going to end up in hell. And there's all kinds of different attitudes and philosophies about that. But living your best life and living it with gusto like you do, and really working to be the most powerful and loving and caring human that you can, living a natural life. I think that's kind of a good thing if everybody wanted to emulate that. What do you think?
Well, I think absolutely it is, but it's not something that came without a lot of inner work for many, many years, and deep, in Buddhism, we call it human revolution, where you really revolutionize my life from the inside out, and having to face things in myself that are really, really challenging, having to have the courage to live true to my soul. You can know the information, but to take action on it, that brings up all the fear and questioning self-worth. I mean, all of these things are things that I've battled really intensely. I mean, not lightly, very, very intensely. Periods of time where I, was doing things that were not healthy, I was not making healthy choices for my life. And as a result, my environment was reflecting back to me not what I wanted to see. Right. And
Yeah.
as I learned to revolutionize my life from the inside out, my environment began to reflect more of what the garden I was creating, the beauty I was creating within myself began to be reflected to me in the outside world. And even, simple, it's not so simple to make a relationship, and these things, if we're not taking the time to self-reflect and really revolutionize our own lives, it becomes impossible to live your dreams and make healthy relationships and make more impact in the world. It all begins with the self. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Jennifer, there are people that are listening to us that are they're looking at your website, which is jenniferharpermusic.com, and they're saying, she's a beautiful woman. She's a wonderfully talented, gifted musician and singer, songwriter. She's known some great, great human beings. She does some wonderful things. There can't possibly be any day that she has trouble or is less than, because she has a magical life. That is the farthest thing from the truth, isn't it?
I think that it's so far from the truth. And I think that's one of the big adjustments I'm making now, is to not be attached to the story of my evolution and where I came from. But at the same time, because it's easy to look and say that, oh, it's easy for her, right? And I don't want to be attached to a story of struggle, but it is a very massive reality that a period of decades of evolution. When I began, let's just talk about the voice for a minute. When I was in that period of time where I was learning the music, and I was afraid to sing. I had some sweet girlfriends at the time who would come over and say, sing, sing, we can't hear you. But I would just whisper. I would sing out loud when nobody was around, but I would not sing for anybody else to hear. And it took me, I used to look at other singer-songwriters and people doing the music, and I thought, oh, wow, if only I could, but I didn't have the magic whatever that they had, so I couldn't do it. I might have some ability, but I wasn't, I was comparing who I was then to who their point in their evolution where they had done it, right? And that's so easy to do. We compare where we are on our journey to somebody else is at a very different point in their journey. And I compared myself, compare and despair, as they say, right? And had so much discomfort in using my voice. I mean, I went through a lot of traumatic things, from having an eating disorder for many, many years, where basically I stuffed down my voice, didn't use my voice. I had abusive and traumatic relationships where I felt worthless and couldn't express my opinions or my beliefs. I didn't even know what they were, really. Certainly couldn't express myself in music. I was just struggling to be able to express myself in life at all. And it was painful to speak up. And this has been the journey of my life to learn how to do this. And it's the commitment to better myself, the commitment to keep trying and keep going towards my dreams, even when they seemed impossible. Because, and I guess this is where it comes to what you were saying, was like a soul mission, it was just something was pulling me towards it. But I had a lot of traumatic things. I'm not even, going into a lot of detail about it. It was tough. I used to beat myself up. I was my own worst enemy. If I would say something, I would always question, did I say the right thing? Did I do that? Like I should have said, I would always look back. Did I say this? I shouldn't have said that. Like so hard on myself all the time. And when I first finally started expressing myself through music, I didn't think any of my songs were any good. It's still, comparing myself to others. And so huge journey to get to where I am now. Huge journey. I mean, it's taken me decades. Some people are a lot faster than I am, But
No, but you see, the thing is that, and you are a shining example of the human experience, because we all go what I call a bad country music song period, and sometimes they're longer than others, and some people have got negative experiences and that can last years and decades and stuff, but they're learning the process of living positively and living life. And then it's kind of like a flower, and now it's springtime and you're blooming and you're blossoming because it's been a long time in the process, but now's the time. And now what you're able to do is you're able to take your work and the things that you say. By the way, there is a book out, isn't there?
of mine, did I write a book?
Yes.
You mean? No, not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was it. That was a mental hit that says, okay, the book is coming. So you're going to have to write the book now, and and stuff about your life and your journey, because it is so impactful, Jennifer, on other people that are where you were 10, 15 years ago, and they're feeling like nobody cares, or that what they say doesn't matter, and you can't do the things in life that they would like to be able to do because they're just not good enough. And they can look at you and say, well, she's doing pretty all right now. And she wasn't always that way. So congratulations. And you are a shining example of what people can do if they choose to. And except for me, because I'll never be able to sing, because my drama coach, when I was auditioning for Danny in Greece, and I did the song and stuff, and I had a friend ask him, how did he do? And he said, oh, he sang great in a choir of 50 or more. So so that told me that singing isn't where I'm at, but now doing what I am is where I'm supposed to be. So, but
Amazing.
Jennifer, and that book is coming, because it needs to be written. And you can even put DVDs, not DVDs, digital songs in the book to highlight what you were thinking about. Ooh, I'm coming up with stuff, and thinking about your life and the things and the things you've written about your life and stuff. Oh, it's all 1 million copies.
Oh, you're so sweet. And I appreciate that reflection, because it's interesting. I've thought about books, and they've always come in the form of children's books. I have had several ideas for children's books, but never really thought that writing about my life could be that impactful. So I appreciate that reflection. It means a lot.
Holy crap. And I don't mean to swear almost, but you're exceptional. Now, sadly, Jennifer, we've run out of time, so you're going to have to come back, and we're going to play more music. And I want to talk to you more. I love your energy. I love your smile. I love everything about you, except for your name, because that's my ex-wife's name, but that's a story for another day.
I'll change my name the next time I show up.
Perfect. No, that's all right. She already did. Anyway. That's the story for another time. But anything else that you'd like to add before we have to run?
Oh, actually, yeah, because I almost forgot. I just launched a Kickstarter for my album. I didn't even talk about this. It's a whole other thing, but I'm doing a really beautiful women's empowerment video for my song, I Am a Queen. and I'm raising funds through Kickstarter. But the thing that's so cool about it is that I have a lot of exclusive opportunities to work one-on-one, and even to have a song written for you based on your human design and gene keys. And I have all kinds of really wonderful things that are available only through the Kickstarter.
All right.
Completely forgot to mention that.
Yeah. When is the Kickstarter kicking off?
Well, it went live. I had a beautiful concert on Sunday and kicked it off, and it's live. It's Kickstarter. I'll have to give you the link. It's Soul Alive.
Okay.
On Kickstarter.
Okay. Here we go.
It's on my website. On my website, if you go to my website, you'll see the link there.
Oh, good. And
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going to tell my team that we're booked out for a couple of months, but we're gonna slide you in because this we need to talk about that, and we need to really highlight it. So Jennifer Harper has been our guest, and look for her here on Positive Talk Radio, because she's one of those people that is just remarkable, and that we can learn from. And she spent her whole life learning how to teach it, and now she knows it, and she's continuing to develop it. She ain't nowhere near done what she's going to get done in her life, but she's still working on it, but she's getting better every day, wouldn't you say?
Thank you.
I don't know why I'm talking in that kind of way. Anyway.
That's okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me on, and your positivity and encouragement is really, really special. It means a lot.
You are an amazing woman, and I want to thank you. And your kids are very lucky to have a mom like you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
yes.
Although they might not say that all the time, but I will.
They tell me often enough.
Good. My children come to me and say, "Dad, where's your checkbook?" Anyway, we got to go. I love you very much. Have a great day. And Jennifer Harper, go to jenniferharpermusic.com, and she is just phenomenal. Thank you all for being here. And my producers are going to be mad because I've gone 2 minutes over, but we'll fix that. So anyway, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.